All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ohio Family Engagement Leadership Summit. We're glad that you could join us on this day of professional learning meant to take family, school, community partnership to the next level. My name is Becky Barenbaum, and I will be this session's moderator. This session is session 12, Family Engagement Efficacy Beliefs of Educators, Measuring Mindsets with the FEEB-E. If you have any questions, concerns, or technical issues, please message me privately in the chat. To ensure that we all get the most out of today, we ask that all participants turn off their webcams and microphones. If you have questions for the presenter, please use the chat feature, and I will pass them along at an appropriate time. You can also join the conversation on Twitter. Be sure to use the hashtag OHSummit23 to share your thoughts. And now I'll hand it over to Dr. Hadley Bachman.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Hadley Bachman, and I'm a Research Administration Management Consultant at The Ohio State University. My PhD is in Educational Studies with a concentration in Educational Administration. My dissertation research focused on family engagement efficacy beliefs of educators, and I'm going to share this with you today. So first, I want you to just take a minute to think about the questions here on the screen. You can just think about them. If you have a piece of paper, you can jot down some ideas. And we're going to be sending you to breakout rooms to be able to discuss these with some other people, just to greet each other. So you're going to think about what are you good at and how do you know that you're good at it? How did you learn it? And what challenges have you faced in this area and how did you overcome them? And we're going to put these questions in the chat for you. So if you want to reference them when you get to your breakout rooms, you can. This session is going to spend some time talking about efficacy beliefs, which are when we believe that we're good at something and have the skills to achieve our goals in that particular area. So this gives us a chance to think about what are we good at. So we're going to open up breakout rooms now, and you're going to just get a chance to say hi to folks and talk about what you are good at. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for bravely joining immediately. That's so wonderful at sessions like these to be able to join those and to meet some new people in your breakout room. Just like there's efficacy beliefs for, those pictures on the screen that we had before, painting, surfing, rock climbing, and cooking, and then all those things you chatted about in your breakout room, there's also efficacy beliefs for family engagement, and we're going to talk about those today. So today I want you to walk away from my session feeling confident in these learning objectives. The first one is I can assess my family engagement efficacy beliefs using a simple survey. The second one, I can describe the intended purpose of the Family Engagement Efficacy Beliefs of Educators survey, or the FEEB-E. And third is I can plan opportunities to use the FEEB-E as a tool to measure mindsets of educators about family engagement in my setting. So here's our agenda. We've already done our welcome. Then we're going to try out the FEEB-E, so you guys get to demo it today. That's very exciting. Then we're going to just build some background knowledge about what this survey is and how I developed it. And then we're going to think about how it might apply to our own settings. And then we'll just do some kind of closing things, time for Q&A, reflect, and share some ideas. So I want to give you just a little background about my work. Efficacy beliefs are the confidence that a person has that they can accomplish a particular task. These affect how hard someone tries on a task, how much they persist in the face of difficulties, and ultimately how likely they are to succeed. So these pictures all show individuals with a high sense of efficacy for painting, or for surfing, for rock climbing, or for cooking. Efficacy, because it's task-specific, is a much better predictor of future success in a particular area than something more general like self-esteem. So if I have a high sense of self-efficacy for cooking, for example, I'm more likely to try harder recipes and to not give up when I fail. As a result of my extra effort, then my cooking improves faster, and I become a better cook than someone with a low sense of efficacy for cooking who just orders takeout. That's why education research has emphasized the importance of understanding efficacy for teaching in general for the past 20 plus years. It's been linked to a willingness to try new techniques and persist when things get difficult. And then this results in more progress as a teacher and then better outcomes for students. But before now, the field of family engagement lacked a survey demonstrating valid and reliable use for assessing efficacy beliefs specifically related to our work in family engagement. That's because we didn't really understand what is this work that we do in family engagement. So before NAFSC worked to create the family engagement core competencies, if you attended session 1 with me today, you heard a lot about those. There was no real clear understanding about what was the work of you all who are family-facing professionals. What was this work when we collaborated with families? So prior efficacy belief measures, they focus more generally on teachers' work, like preparing for teaching and classroom management, with only a few, if any, items devoted to family engagement. And then they weren't really very applicable to people who weren't teachers, but they still worked in schools and interact with families. Or they didn't apply to people who worked in community organizations that also served children and families. So the survey I developed is based on the family engagement core competencies that NAFSC published in 2022, widely accepted as finally providing this definitive description of the work of teachers and other family-facing professionals, what they do when they engage with families. So the purpose of my dissertation study was to develop a research survey to measure efficacy beliefs of family-facing professionals for engaging with families in their school communities. So I'd like us to take a second to try out the FEEB-E. So Becky put the link in chat. You can also scan the QR code if you'd prefer to take it on your phone. I think it works well in either your computer or your phone. Note at the end, it's going to ask you for your email. So let me tell you what that means if you put in your email. Putting in your email at the end just allows me to contact you later for permission to use your survey in case I am interested in future research. So I'm not going to use your email for any other purpose than to reach out for this permission. And you will still have the chance to either give me that permission or refuse that permission if I do reach out. And that's like an if I do reach out. I promise I won't spam you or use your email for any other purpose. And when you get to that email question, you are welcome to skip that if you don't feel like giving me your email. I'm going to turn on some music. I think it'll take us probably about 6 to 8 minutes to take this. So enjoy. I hope that you have fun trying this out. And then all of the demographic questions at the end are optional. It just helps give me some information to make sure that the survey is fair for everybody. So feel free to answer those or not answer those, whichever you prefer. So as you finish up, think about what subscore areas are your highest and what are your lowest. So you can see what each of those numbers mean. I tried to include those. I had a great team here with me at Ohio State who helped me think through a lot of the glitches, and so they helped me remember that adding the numbers and what those meant was really helpful. So I'm interested to see what categories were the highest for you. So I'm seeing Krista says communicating was her highest and embracing equity is lowest. Yeah. Holly says collaborating for learning is the highest, and so is honoring all families. Cynthia says honoring all families was the highest and collaborating for learning was the lowest. Doesn't surprise her because her current work is not in teaching, but it's with working with families. Honoring all families was the highest, says Sandy. And Beth says honoring all families and equity was her highest. George, yeah, George, sorry about the music making you sleepy. I think George is on the opposite side of the world from us. Super cool. I'm seeing lots of answers coming in. And one of the things I've noticed is, and I'm fascinated by, is like how the setting we're in kind of helps us make us feel more skilled in particular areas, or kind of sets up more challenge for us in areas. My husband is a teacher and he also took this survey. I'm a former teacher and former school administrator as well. And so, you know, thinking about the fact that some of the areas that are more that he scored lower in were, you know, some of those was partly the structures of the school make them more challenging for him. So he felt a little less confident in those areas. And some of you are saying, you know, if you're not an educator, like the areas that relate a little bit more to like communicating about learning or collaborating for learning, you know, that's not going to be an area that you feel more skilled in at this point, or you feel as confident in that area. And like that makes total sense. But if you were taking it in a different setting, you know, you might feel a little differently. So Zakia, I am not sure if you can get a copy of your results if you've already closed the screen. That's something I need to check into. It's a great question. All right, thank you so much. And then I'm interested in that last question, if the results surprised you, why or why not. And you can ponder that yourself. Thank you for taking that risk to share your results. I also know that that's like very vulnerable. So thanks a lot for doing that with me. So I want to share just a little bit about why I believe it's really important to understand educators' mindsets about working with families. I'm really passionate about this. The dual capacity building framework, which probably many of you are familiar with, emphasizes the need to build capacity among educators and families to partner with one another around student success. I'm quoting there from page 6. Here, the emphasis is that both educators and families face challenges and implied deficits arising from these structural barriers to partnerships. I mentioned that there's some structural barriers in place if our settings are not conducive to partnerships, and those must be addressed through systemic, integrated, and sustained family engagement policies and programs. So this model emphasizes that student outcomes are the goal of family engagement efforts, and it acknowledges that educators need more knowledge and skill development for effective family-school partnerships. We can't just say do it and not pay any attention to like what we need to build in order to be able to do it. So essentially, for family engagement efforts to reach their full potential, there's much work to be done to develop educators' mindset, skills, and practices to be able to appreciate fully and partner effectively with their students' families. So the first step to building and enhancing that capacity, though, is to understand their mindsets right now. Understand our mindsets right now. You can't just tell people to do things without understanding where they are at the current time. So here's the way that I defined this new construct or idea in my study. Family engagement efficacy beliefs of educators are the degree to which an educator believes him or herself capable of organizing and executing the courses of action required to partner with families for improving instruction and student learning. And then I want to give you just a little bit of the background and context of my study. So as I mentioned before, a really important thing to know about the background is that that NAFSCI completed this study in 2022, examining the work of family-facing professionals, which kind of gave us this clarity of what family engagement was. And then also the context that my study took place just after the COVID-19 pandemic was really shifting and intensifying family-school collaboration. There was definitely an escalated political polarization, and as a result, we saw some erosion of trust between school staff and families. So for my dissertation, I developed this survey called the Family Engagement Efficacy Beliefs of Educators, or the FEEB-E. I love that name. The development of the survey went through 5 main phases. So phase 1 was drafting survey items based on a review of literature in family engagement and self-efficacy. Then after drafting the survey, I shared it with subject matter experts, one of whom I worked with, Dr. Maggie Casp, and users, and gathered their feedback and made revisions. In phases 2 and 3, I conducted a pilot survey with a national sample of family-facing professionals. Perhaps some of you took it along that way, in a variety of school-based roles in pre-K through high school buildings. Based on data analysis, I removed survey items, I reworded items, and added an item or two to ensure I was fully capturing what family engagement is. And then in phases 4 and 5, I conducted a follow-up study in 2 school districts in Ohio with teachers in K through 12 schools. I collected data to confirm if the survey measures efficacy beliefs for family engagement reliably and accurately. So I want to just kind of skim through my results here. scores showed a range of educators' efficacy beliefs for family engagement. So this means that some people had high efficacy beliefs and other people had lower efficacy beliefs, and we showed kind of people falling all the way through that spectrum. Second, people who took the survey tended to respond similarly to clusters of survey items. Specifically, there seemed to be 5 clusters of items representing 5 different aspects of efficacy. So those 5 aspects of efficacy, which you got subscores for in this final version of the FEEB-E, were correlated with each other in my study. So if a person scored high in one area, they tended to also score high in other areas. The FEEB-E also reliably measured educators' efficacy beliefs for family engagement. So this means that the survey would be consistent, meaning that it would score people the same way every time if people took it under exactly the same conditions. But if something would change, like if you would take it again after you got better at engaging with families, or if you were in a setting that was more conducive to engaging with families and then you felt more confident, the FEEB-E score should reflect that newfound efficacy. And then finally, family engagement efficacy beliefs were correlated with efficacy beliefs for teaching in general, and also with a teacher's trust in families. So again, scoring high in one area was linked to scoring high in another area and vice versa. So here are some ways that the FEEB-E has been validated for use. So the FEEB-E is a research tool. So more specifically, here are some ways that you could use it. It's a tool to explore areas of relative strength in family engagement, efficacy belief. So where do you feel like really confident in working with families? It's a tool to explore what builds family engagement efficacy beliefs. So, you might give the FEEB-E before doing professional development, and then you might give it at the end to see if you've built family engagement efficacy beliefs. You might also use it as a tool to explore what might break down family engagement efficacy beliefs if people are feeling less confident because of something that has occurred. It would also be a tool to explore how practices of educators with high sense of efficacy compared to educators with a low sense of efficacy. You also could use it to explore the link between family engagement efficacy beliefs and then student outcomes. So how might a teacher's efficacy beliefs relate to how whether students attend school more often in their classroom or not? But here are the ways the FEEB-E should not be used. So it is not valid for these uses. It's not valid for any kind of evaluation of job performance. It is not valid for prediction about future job performance, like this person will be a better employee next year because they scored this way on it. And it's definitely not valid for hiring or firing or promotion decisions. So you should not use the FEEB-E for any of those ways. Okay, so we are going to take a moment. So I've given you some very general ideas. But we also, as I kind of started thinking about you could use it to see what builds family engagement efficacy beliefs. And then I gave you one example, you could give it at the beginning of professional development and then at the end to see if that professional development worked to build efficacy beliefs. What we're going to do is in a Jamboard, we're going to send you back to breakout rooms. You're going to go and one person in your breakout room is going to be a scribe, and you're going to think about for each one of the ways on the Jamboard, you're going to think about how could we more specifically use it for this? And you're just going to post your ideas on Post-its on the slide. So I'm going to demonstrate really quick. So let's see. We could explore areas of strength and weakness, what builds or breaks down. So that was where I was giving an example. So I'm going to put a sticky note and I'd say, if a PD workshop builds efficacy beliefs. So if my breakout room had that idea, I put that Post-it. And then you want to just drag your Post-it somewhere else. And there's all of the different ideas are on different slides. So you just need one scribe for your room. And as a room, you're going to talk about what are some specific examples of how we might use the FEEB-E in that way. And we're going to try to come up with as many ideas as we can. We're only going to be in breakout rooms for about 8 or 9 minutes. So you'll have like 1 or 2 minutes on each of those slides. And hopefully we have all these ideas splashed on the board. And then when we come back, we'll get a chance individually or in small groups, your choice, to plan in more depth about one of those good ideas that you saw. All right. Are there any questions before we head to breakout rooms? You can put them in the chat if you do. And we only need one person per breakout room who's able to open that Jamboard. So we don't all need to have it open. All right, Becky, you can go ahead and open the breakout rooms. Should be the same group that you went to. All right, welcome back, everyone. So glad to have you here. Okay, so Becky is putting the Jamboard back in the chat again so that you can reference that for ideas for our next activity. Thank you so much for going to breakout rooms and for getting an idea to come up with fantastic ideas for how you might use the FEEB-E. I'm just was amazed at all of the creativity I saw there, and hopefully you had great conversations in your breakout room. So now you're going to have a chance to do a little bit of planning for your own setting because I know that you're all very busy. I want to respect your real life time. And I do not expect that you're going to have tons of time to do a lot of planning once this day ends. I remember when I was administrator, I just, like, once I left a conference, if I heard any great ideas, I just didn't have time to implement them if I didn't have time to think about it on the day of. So Becky just put a link to a Google Doc. So that's the docs.google.com. And that's going to have you, it's going to open up as view only. So I want you to access that planning template and then go to File, Make a Copy, or Download. So if you are logged into Google, you'll have that option to make a copy if you want to work as a Google Doc. If you're not logged into Google, you'll have to download it either as a PDF or Word file, whatever you'd prefer. And it's just like a simple planning, like, here's my objective, this is what I want to do, these are the people I'll work with, you know, these are the steps. So, you know, it's not rocket science. You can probably come up with something even better yourself. So we're going to give you about, let me see my timing on this. We're going to give you like 5 or 10 minutes. It's not a ton of time to start planning. You can you'll have a choice. I think we've figured out how to do this. You can either go back to breakout rooms you'll have the choice to go to breakout rooms to work kind of planning with people, or you can stay in the main room to work independently. And then we're going to share our objective that we come up with, like what do we want to do with this as part of our closing. So Becky, if you open up the breakout rooms as choice only, at the bottom of your screen on the right-hand side, you'll probably have 3 little dots or something like that. And if you click on it, it'll give you the option to join breakout room if you'd like to go to a breakout room to work with some other people. And if you'd rather stay in the main room and work independently, I know I always like just some quiet time. I'm going to turn on some music and we will work in here for about 5 to 7 minutes to just kind of brainstorm how we might use this. You can take one of those ideas from the Jamboard and think how you would use this in your own setting and what it's going to take. Hey, as we come back together, I would love to hear how you plan to use the FEEB-E in your settings. So I know that I gave you just a little bit of time to do some planning. So in chat, could you share your plan's objective? What you think you will do. So from that planning sheet, if you use it, how do you think you might use the FEEB-E in your settings? Sherry says she's going to use it to gain a better understanding of staff needs and family engagement and create relevant professional development. That makes me so excited. They'll be so excited to have professional development that meets their needs. Andrea says honoring all families was her high. Yeah, great. Partnering was the lowest. I think partnering is a challenging area. That was a spot where data showed that just kind of that was a harder skill area for everyone. Meaningful PD for areas of need. Anne would like to use the FEEB-E with Family Engagement Committee to understand what our team's strengths are and to use those in planning of events and partnering with families. Anne, that's so exciting. I'm really excited about that. Georgie would like to create a forum to discuss family engagement with leaders or a parent advisory group. I love that. Yes, including family leaders at the table is so important. I would love to hear their thoughts on this as a tool as well. So please feel free to share that back with me. Okay, great. So you're writing those in. If you have any questions, you can also add those to the chat. I know I've really enjoyed your participation today. No, Kimberly, there is not a cost to use the FEEB-E at the building level. I am just an excited researcher, so no cost. So just email me if you're interested in using it. I'm interested in it being used. It's just a research tool right now. So
that is awesome. Thank you so much. I
yep,
can
absolutely.
making great use of this in my building.
Awesome, great. And I think I mentioned this to Anne specifically in a private chat, but for the school districts that I partnered with for my research, one of the things that I did was I created a version of the survey that was specifically for their building. So that way I was able to share building specific data with them. In aggregate, not anybody's like personal data, but like, you know, a snapshot of the teachers as a whole so that they could then like look for patterns and plan professional development that way. So please email me. I can put my email in the chat again. If you would like me to make a duplicate copy of the one that I made today and then be able to share with you like sort of the average responses back to you of your staff as a whole. Is there a background paper on the survey available? Yes, my dissertation is published, and I don't know how easily if that is available to, like, for me to find and post immediately. That will be up on our website for sure. But yeah, my dissertation is published and is out there. Yes, Georgie, use in the building. Yes, you can use in a school building or a district or at any level. Linda, I'm just starting to present this at conferences because my dissertation was just published. So I'll be presenting at the NAFSCI conference this fall and also at the University Council of Educational Administrators conference in Minneapolis in November. So. And I believe that there's a yes, Linda's sent me a message. I'm presenting a keynote address at the Implementers Forum in Pennsylvania, but that'll be about our multi-tiered approach to family engagement that Barbara Boone and I present about here at our center. So that'll be on a different topic, but also one that I'm passionate about.
I think we have time for a couple more questions if anyone has any more they'd like to drop in the chat.
Mm-hmm. I believe that there's a link to, Becky, if you post the link to the FEEB-E one more time, I believe that there's a link to my dissertation citation at the end of the FEEB-E. So you might have to like go through with like fake answers or like take it real quickly to get to the link at the end, but then there is a citation at the very end of it that links to my dissertation. For anybody who wants to read that, I would love more people to read my dissertation. I think just my committee and maybe my mom have read it so far. So.
All right.
Okay.
Yep, go ahead, Anne.
Yep, I just have one more question because this is something I'm really passionate about and hopefully my passion for this has come through in this presentation. So if we could just take one moment to reflect on this question, why is the measurement of educators' mindsets important in the field of family engagement? So why should this matter to us? So if you could share your ideas in chat to this and let's like leave on centering why educator mindsets are important in our field. Why should this matter to us? Yes, Lillian, I agree. Lillian, I recognize your name. I think you and I have been in some sessions, but yes, it leads to that heart work that's so important. We are
Yes,
all walking together.
yes, we've been together, Hadley, for almost 3 years. We're
I think
coming up on
so.
an anniversary.
I know, I recognize your name. You know that that matters to me, that heart work. Yes. And we're walking together. That's absolutely true. Mindset
Absolutely.
influences beliefs, which influence actions. Jan, I love that. Yes, it's a joint effort, and we have to understand where educators are in order to provide opportunities to learn and grow. So well said. Autumn, I recognize you as well. I have so many friends here.
I know.
Self-awareness is key.
I've been wanting to say hi, Hadley, the whole time.
I know. I'm so glad you all came. Thank you. I feel so honored. Really, self-awareness is key. Yes, thank you. Ah, this is just such a great way to end. Thank you all so much for coming. Okay, Becky, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you all very much.
I was just going to say, keep dropping those in the chat. These are great to see, but we'll wrap up the session. Thank you so much, Dr. Hadley Bachman, for sharing your time and knowledge with us today. Please join me in thanking Dr. Bachman in the chat.
Thank you.
There will now be a 15-minute break. If this is your final session for the day, please be sure to take our survey by following the link go.osu.edu/summit survey. We ask that you only take the survey once, so please do not take the survey until after the final session you attend for the day. Surveys will be used to administer contact hours, so it is critical that you take the survey if seeking credit. The next session will begin at 2 p.m. Remember to keep the conversation going on Twitter using the hashtag OHSummit23 and visit ohiofamiliesengage.osu.edu/summit for all information about today's events. And that's it. Thanks again so much, Hadley, and thanks everyone for attending. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone. You've been such a great group, and enjoy the rest of the day today.